Do you like sell highs? I like sell highs. We all like sell highs. In this video, I'm going to go over 5 players who I think we should sell high on right now in fantasy basketball, or regression hits before those hot starts cool off and before these players crash back down to the real season or career norms, taking your inflated fantasy expectations with them. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Chris. Welcome to Number 2 Sports, and I'm just trying to get better at fantasy basketball every single day, while also working on my mini hoop jumper, of course. Okay, first up, we're just going to quickly recap my first sell high video way back on October 30th. Now, first up, we had Aaron Gordon. At the time, he was ranked 23. Now he's 135. Next up, we had Walker Kessler, who was ranked 19. Well, now, he's out for the year, so that's kind of a cheap gimme one, but whatever. And next up, we had Jaime Jaquez Jr., who was ranked 59. Now he's ranked 110. And then we had Joel Embiid, who's ranked 204 to ranked 270, but man, his value is like at an all-time low right now. I'm still pissed I have him on one of my teams, and I just can't get anything for him. And then last up, we had RJ Barrett, who's ranked 33 at the time, and now he's ranked 119. So I think pretty solid for those 5 guys for sure. Okay, first up, I'm not sure how everyone's going to feel about this sell high, because this dude has practically owned Wall Street with the way he's been dominating the stock categories. But we've got to talk about it. Mikal Bridges from the New York Knicks. So why has Bridges' value blown up? Well, it takes about 2 seconds of looking at his game logs to figure it out. The steals and blocks have been absolutely insane. Even for a guy like Bridges, who's lived over 1 steal per game his whole career, these numbers are just ridiculous. We're talking like me playing Yao Ming on NBA Live 2005 with the boys in my parents' basement level of absurd stats right here. On top of that, he's been shooting the lights out from both the field and 3. And yeah, I know I said a while back that there is no way that he was staying above 50% from beyond the arc for the entire season, and that I would shave my gooch live on stream if he did. For starters, he's just not going to shoot 50% from deep throughout the entire season. There's just no way. And if he does, I'll wax my gooch live on stream. I hate to say it for the boys, but unfortunately, it doesn't look like there's any possibility of that happening for Bridges this year. He's still on pace for almost a career high, but those percentages can absolutely dip a couple points as the season goes on. So why do I think he's a sell high? Why do I think he's going to cool down? Well, I just don't believe Bridges is going to average over 2 steals and almost 1.5 blocks per game for the rest of the season. I just don't buy it. It's simple as that. Now, will he potentially bend me over with that call, with that claim? Maybe, but as a betting man, I'm definitely taking the ever so lame under and hoping to cash in the second half of the season. If we just take away 1 steal per game and half a block, Bridges' stats look a lot worse, as he doesn't really score in the 20s and is usually under 5 rebounds and 5 assists per game, while practically shooting no free throws. We'd be talking more like a top 50 to 60 player, like he's consistently been the last 4 or 5 years of his career, no matter which team he's on, than like a top 10, 15 type of guy like he's performing right now. So some trade package or trade ideas I'd consider for Bridges, since he is currently a top 10 player in 9Cat right now, is if you can get like another top 25-ish piece who isn't relying on insane stop contributions to boost their value, I would 100% do that and bank on some regression in his stock categories and his percentages to come down a little bit, and hope he averages out more to his career norm of being a top 50, 60 player, and you just steal a top 25 guy for free. What do you guys think? Am I going to take a fat L for this take with Bridges, or do you think Bridges stocks will come down as well? Let me know in the comment section down below. We'll keep going with one of the better waiver wire gems of the early season, and that's Ryan Rollins. Now, Rollins has completely taken over his opportunity after Kevin Porter Jr. went down with injury in game 1. He's never really got a true shot at a starting gig in the NBA before, but he's absolutely making the most of it now on a depleted Bucks roster. So why has Rollins' value been inflated? Well, the biggest driver behind Rollins' breakout has just been pure opportunity. KPJ went down early, Giannis has missed a stretch of games, and Rollins just stepped into a massive role. That 24.7 usage rate he's been rolling with has been a huge part of his production, but now that Kevin Porter Jr. is back, Giannis is healthy, and even if Rollins hangs on to a starting gig, the ball just isn't going to flow through him the same way it was before. It's just inevitable. And on top of that, we're probably not going to see any more 40-minute games either. But before I completely shit on his parade here. To Roland's credit, he's actually delivered on the opportunity that he was granted. Plenty of guys get a chance and completely fall flat, but that hasn't been the case with him at all. He's shooting nearly 50% from the floor and 40% from deep, and he genuinely looks improved as a playmaker and someone who can legit run an NBA offense. So even if that role does scale back, I do think the growth we've seen is real. So I'm selling Rollins right now because I just don't think he can keep up this level of insane production that we've seen in the early going with Kevin Porter Jr. back in the mix, back in the rotation, and likely hovering around 30 minutes per night. Rollins should still definitely be serviceable, especially if he holds on to a starting spot, since Milwaukee desperately needs on-ball creation and off-ball spot-up shooting. But there's just no way that he stays anywhere near as good as he's been with KPJ back in the mix. If your league mates still believe in the early version, the early season version of Rollins, I'd move him now before his usage dips and those season-long numbers start to cool off. Some trade ideas would be like if you could package him for someone who has a more rock-solid role, or add him as a second player in like a 2-for-1 as a nice second sweet kicker that someone thinks, oh man, I'm still getting this insane production from this point guard, and go out star hunting, I wouldn't hesitate to do so at all. Next up, we have an injury bump guy who's getting a lot more usage and a lot more shots up due to the Paolo Banchero injury, and that is Desmond Bane from the Orlando Magic. So why do I think Desmond Bane's value is inflated right now? Well, Banchero is such a ball dominant player. He runs such a high, crazy usage rate every year. It was 33.5% last season, is 27.9% so far this year. So with him out, there's just a ton of extra touches, a ton of extra shot attempts up for grabs for Bane. Couple that with Bane shooting 52% on 25 shots one night, then 71% on 17 attempts the very next, almost hitting a 40 berg in back-to-back nights, and you got what could be his peak value and a perfect time to try and sell high. So why I think Bane's going to cool down a little bit is he's been a top 25 player with Banchero out, but when he's back, it could just look a lot different. All you have to do is just look back on Bane's game logs from earlier in the year, at the start of the year when Banchero was healthy and playing. You can sort of see just what type of ceiling that Bane had and what he was performing to. Now I know every player takes time to adjust to a new team, coaching staff, in city, and maybe Bane's slowest start was partly attributed to that, and this injury just kind of gave him that confidence boost to get back to playing extremely well. But Banchero is the lead dog, don't make any mistake about that. He's not sacrificing any of his shot attempts for no one. So unfortunately, I just think that means there's nowhere to go but down from Bane's recent explosion, unless something drastically shifts in the hierarchy in Orlando from Banchero and Wagner. So some trade packages or trade ideas would be, if anyone in your league thinks Bane will be a top 25, top 30 player rest of season, you take that deal before Banchero gets back and just reap the rewards. Like if you get like an Austin Reeves or Kevin Durant for Bane right now, I would fucking break my phone smash accepting that. Next up, we'll go with a guy who I think was seriously under rostered in a ton of leagues before he got healthy again, and that is Mr. Keegan Murray of the Sacramento Kings. So why has his value been inflated? Well, it's kind of obvious. Since he's returned from injury, Murray has just been on an absolute tear. If these numbers hold, they'd practically be career highs across the board, and not just by a little bit. We're talking like major jumps everywhere. Murray is scoring more than 6 points per game on 5 more attempts and shooting better from the floor. The big thing here, just like another guy that we talked about earlier in this video, is Murray's stocks. He's putting up a ridiculous 2.2 steals per game right now after struggling to even average 1 for most of his career. And the blocks? He's at 1.3, which is something he's just never come close to either. So why will he cool down, or why I think it's a reason to sell besides the obvious of practically everything that's inflated with his game right now? I first off just don't think he suddenly turned into some lockdown defender or Mutombo level shot blocker overnight. I still believe there can be a slight improvement here, sure, but whatever he's doing right now feels like an anomaly in just a really small sample size to start out his year. Secondly, we just can't overlook the fact that Sabonis and Schroeder are both out. Sabonis now is a usage monster. So much of the ball flows through him, touches, shot attempts, assists, you name it. And even though Dennis Schroeder isn't nearly as impactful as Sabonis, he still takes up possessions when he's in the lineup. So with both them out, Murray is getting a pretty nice bump in opportunity opportunity right now for the Sacramento Kings. When both do come back, I think his stock contributions, shot attempts, and usage will all fall, and I just don't think he'll continue to perform like a borderline top 10 player in fantasy right now. So some trade ideas, like if you could get a solid top 50 player for Keegan Murray right now, I wouldn't hesitate to do it before he starts to cool down a bit and before his stats start to even out throughout the year after this torrid stretch for him. So what do you guys think about Murray and like his hot start right now? Are you guys selling high? Or are you guys holding on for dear life? Let me know in the comments down below. Okay, now I just quickly wanted to touch on a few players who I think are high chance of a shutdown risk or injury risk just because of the team that they play on. I don't think anything with their game is overly concerning, that they're overperforming in some certain aspect like 3-point shooting, whatever, passing, rebounds, steals, blocks, nothing like that. I just think it's because of the team that they play on, and that team that might have tanking aspirations in the second half or just want to see what they got with their young guys. So there could be a dynamic shift in their role later in the season. So the first player that kind of fits this mold perfectly is CJ McCollum from the Washington Wizards. Now CJ has been balling, or he's been playing pretty decent lately. He's been a little inconsistent, but he's had some major pop-off games. He's shooting three really well for that young Washington Wizards squad. He's getting a ton of touches, ton of shot attempts up. A lot of that offense is flowing through him, but as we get closer to even the trade deadline, he could be a trade target. So he could go to a team where he's like the sixth man off the bench and his value is just completely nothing, like limited to just a 3-point streamer type guy. Or he could get shut down in the second half and they want to see what they have with their young guys, get all their young guys as much playing time as they can get, because obviously CJ is not a part of their future going forward. So yes, you could leave maybe some production on the table for the next little bit, but it would be a huge win later in the second half of the season if you could sell these guys at peak value when you reap those rewards getting closer to playoff time. Okay, and this guy was honestly a borderline of being included in the 5 main sell high guys, and that's Mr. Don't Pass the Rock, Michael Porter Jr. from the Brooklyn Nets. Now, he is absolutely balling out again lately. He's scoring at will, he's hitting threes, he's bringing down boards, he's actually passing the ball, which is crazy. I never, ever seen him pass this much at all in his Denver times. Maybe that was just a situation playing with the Joker and playing with Jamal Murray, but I know I remember watch games and his line would literally be at 1 assist and he just wouldn't get it. So this is mostly team related. Brooklyn has nothing to play for. They want to see what they have with their young guys. They want to develop their younger players to see if they're going to be a part of their plans for the extended future. Michael Porter Jr. is just such a usage hog on that team right now. I can see him getting shut down in the second half, some phantom back injury or something like that, and missing a ton of games, or maybe they trade him. I have no idea. His value is like at an all-time high right now. He looks so good. I don't see him keeping up this much of like a facilitator role, doing it all for that team, but you never know. They have no one else and he's the most experienced, and he's just taking the bull by the horns and running away with it right now. I'll be really curious to see what Brooklyn does with Michael Porter Jr. and Cam Thomas in the second half of the year coming up to the trade deadline. Porter Jr. stays with Brooklyn and doesn't get shut down. You're probably not selling high on him at all. This just might be his value the rest of the season. But if he does get shut down, that's just a major win for you heading into playoffs. And practically everything that he just said about the team situation for Michael Porter Jr., let's put for Lauri Markkanen. Same thing with the Utah Jazz or the Utah Tankers. They could do the exact same thing that they did last year, which fucked over just so many people. Like, they were not even playable in the second half of the season. They were missing like every other game. They're playing limited minutes. You don't know if you should start them, ride the bench. In weekly lock leagues, you were completely screwed. It was just a nightmare scenario. And I don't know if we're going to be past that this year. I have no idea what Utah's planning to do in the second half of the season. They're terrible again. They have a lot of young guys that need to get work again. It's another high risk, high reward type thing. If he stays on Utah and he stays getting the usage, stays getting the minutes, and doesn't get shut down, all huge ifs, you wouldn't be selling high on him. But again, if he does, you're reaping the rewards in the second half and heading into playoffs. All right, guys, but I think that's it for this video. Let me know what your thoughts about this. Is there any other sell high players that I missed that you want to talk about? Again, I can't cover every single sell high candidate that there is in fantasy basketball. I just chose my favorite select group of people. So let me know who I missed, who you guys are worried about, and who you're selling on right now. And like always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, hype it, subscribe if you haven't. That would mean a lot. And if you haven't checked out my previous buy low video, it's going to be linked up right here on one of these sides. And like always, hope you guys have a good rest of your week, weekend, day, night, wherever you are. And I'll see you guys real soon.